Hey, it's your Katy Realtor, and this week I am not showing you my face because we have been a little disheveled, running around, not really camera ready. So we're just gonna jump right into the numbers for this week for you. We're gonna look at each of the four Katy zip codes, and we're looking at sales price versus list price. And then we're also gonna look at days on market. So what we want to see is where is the trend taking us this week. Now, if I were to guess before looking at any of these numbers, and I haven't, I'm doing this live with you, is that pretty much the same is going on, right? We're not, there hasn't been a slowdown, there hasn't been anything that really tells us that, oh, things are kind of teetering off. No, uh, being in it and helping buyers, working with sellers, it there's been really no change in the last 10 in the last 14 days. So let's see. So again, close price to list price. So the 77449 area, you're selling right about. Again, what I mentioned last week is what happens is a lot of times either the seller or the listing agent is looking at these trends and betting that it'll continue, as opposed to looking at um, what's actually happening in specific neighborhoods for specific types of homes. And that, I think, is going to be the thing that's going to make this whole thing um, tough for some in the near future. See, 100%. You're seeing, I always mix up my own buttons. You're seeing this exuberance and this confidence that you can just continue to list higher and higher instead of having a real strategy to your listing. And what may end up happening is at some point, and we're seeing it left and right, it happens, is buyers are going to stop coming to the door. They might, I don't know. It's tough to predict this, but I know that if we continue this way, um, you're gonna have a lot of more buyer exhaustion. And as a buyer's agent, when I wear that hat, I can't tell somebody to just, hey, no, just push through things will change. Things will change. No, we have to deal with the reality day to day. Now, on a macro perspective, it's on average been going on. Let's look at, yeah, it's about the same. So if we go further back though, see this. So we're still chasing this, right? Um, what we're looking for is this, but this comes if you you're listing it at the right price. Are homes still selling way over list price? Absolutely. But in the macro of all four zip codes and with the amount of new construction that's being sold, yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's leveling off. Maybe not. We don't know. It's tough to say being in it, but it's also tough to say looking at this data. But what I can confidently say is that you need to be careful if you're going to go out there and sell a home in Katy, that you're not just that you're being careful how you price it, whether you're doing it on your own or with an agent. Be careful how you price it, because then what happens is if something stays on the market too long, then it gets less interest, right? And if you want X, just listed X minus 5, X minus 10, whatever it is. Just be careful, because then what happens is then your neighbor tries to sell next week. And I'm going to do what Jim did, and it's just not going to work. And then what happens is things shift the other way. Look, I'm not an advocate for things going one way or the other, but if I was talking to you and you're selling, I'd say we need to be very careful before we even have the discussion of selling your home, to make sure that we are being realistic about what a pricing strategy looks like. So we were looking at that. We're looking at the entire Katy market, yeah. Pretty sure. I get wrapped up in what I'm saying. I forget what we're doing. Hopefully I'm not the only one out there. Yeah, so let's get a little more. Let's look. Yeah, so we're starting to see. I'm not sure which way this thing is gonna go. Um, just want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. I got called out for saying the wrong thing last time. So, how many days it takes to sell is overall on the rise, right? Like if you take this point and this point, but we're in a point right now in March where the list price is also going up. In February to March, and I would imagine you're going to see this trend flatline here in March and April, just based on like some of the sales I'm seeing. You're going to see it be steady, and then maybe, just maybe, days to sell takes a little bit of a nosedive and people start picking back up. But then the question is, what is this going to do? And that relates to the conversation we were just having. What is the list price going to do? My recommendation is drop it. You have to drop it. That way these days fall, and then you end up actually selling for more. So it's an interesting thing to see it kind of like from 1,000 foot view. It is it's been my concern for a while that although if we get really close to January and February, yeah, they're lower, but overall they're on the rise. So it's like if you're looking at a chart of the S&P 500, yeah, it takes a dive. It took a dive today, and trust me, I'm highly invested in it. It's taken a dive the last 5 days. It's taken a dive the last month, the last 6 months, the last year. But if you look at the overall picture, you're 80% the last 5 years. So if we continue this trend from mid 2021, we're almost at mid 2022. Days on market are still climbing higher, and so are prices. So what are we doing? We're pushing ourselves to sell less because we're riding this hype that it's just going to continue to go. And my fear is that it's not. But anyways, I hope you got some value out of this. I'll see you next week.